Which one? Start caption?
Yeah. Find it. Good. Couple of volunteer fire department ad hoc committee meeting to order. Mr. Klein, can you open us up a little?
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, thank you for the ability to make good decisions for the county. We ask that you be with us as we work through a long-term standing issue that we would like to finally find an answer to. We ask your Holy Spirit to invest in our minds and in our hearts, and that we will come up with some great solutions. We ask this all in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Klein. Approval of the agenda.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Recognition of the public. Joe McLaughlin, come on up. Mr. Joe, you got 5 minutes. That's all I'm going to do.
Joe McLaughlin, 2238 Highway 25, Cottontown. This is the first meeting of the second ad hoc committee created by the Health and Emergency Services Committee dealing with volunteer fire departments and fire protection for the unincorporated areas of the county. The first ad hoc committee was created at the May 6, 2024 Health and Emergency Services meeting. This came about from discussions by commissioners and the budget committee that volunteer fire departments change to subscription fire departments or form a public service utility district for fire protection. These were researched and discussed by the volunteer fire departments. The subscription model raised several questions related to the administration of subscriptions, collection if no fee was paid, and how the dispatch center would know if a 911 caller was a subscriber or not. Blount County, the only utility-based fire district in the state, was contacted. When the fire chief was told what Sumner County was proposing, his first words were, "Don't do it. It's a terrible system." Also, the county has to establish and operate the utility districts, so those models were rejected. The first ad hoc committee met 3 or 4 times. The results were recommendations that the volunteer fire department funding be calculated using the CTAS funding formula, and that the county enter into contracts with the volunteer fire departments to remove the county from having any liability for the volunteer fire department's operations. At the October 2024 Health and Emergency Services Committee meeting, the recommendations were voted on, approved, and forwarded to the Budget Committee and Legislative Committees. These committees voted down the recommendations. Recently, there have been unsuccessful attempts to move forward with a fire tax referendum to fund volunteer fire departments. After the unsuccessful attempt during the October 2025 Legislative Committee, they sent back to the Health and Emergency Services Committee to form another ad hoc committee to study and make recommendations for the future of fire protection in the unincorporated areas of the county. We took this to mean not only how the volunteer fire departments would be funded, but to also look at possible changes to the organization. Anything from maintaining the current 9 nonprofit volunteer fire departments to merging departments and moving towards creating a fully paid county fire department, or any combination in between. This committee was formed at the October 2025 Health and Emergency Services Committee and is meeting for the first time today. I've heard commissioners recently comment that we don't know what the volunteer fire departments are doing. Starting in April 2017, the old Emergency Services Committee requested that the volunteer fire departments submit a report showing call totals for the month. I compiled, reported, and submitted a spreadsheet each month showing the calls per department along with monthly and annual totals. I supplemented this report with significant events or incidences that the volunteer fire departments were involved with, such as tornado responses into the cities, floods and swift water rescues, the fire on the new courthouse roof, and when volunteer fire departments deployed to the Gatlinburg fire. This report was stopped in November 2024 when the Health and Emergency Services Committee voted unanimously to remove the report from the agenda. The reason being that CTASC was of the opinion that since this report showed up as an agenda item, it looked as though volunteer fire departments were part of county government. There was a failed attempt to have the report submitted to the county mayor and made part of his monthly report to the Health and Emergency Services Committee. I know there was some pushback with the mayor, but I couldn't find any reason why it didn't go through in the old meeting, in the old minutes that I looked through. I suggest that this committee look at the possibility of having the ECC incorporate volunteer fire department call statistics into their monthly report to the Health and Emergency Services Committee. This wasn't possible with the old CAD system because of how the incidents were created when mutual aid responses were involved. It wouldn't count, if I was to respond to White House community, their report wouldn't capture that call. So it showed less calls that we were actually responding to. The new CAD system, from what I understand, is set up different in the way that it creates the reports and tabulates the incidents, that it can capture those numbers now to give a more accurate reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Moore?
Laura Maggard, 424 A.B. Wayne Road. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being on this committee and putting in some extra time to come to a solution. And I wish more of the guys were here so that I could express my appreciation to the volunteer fire departments. Have a great deal of respect for the work, have been involved at various levels. Kevin, my husband, was a emergency responder for decades, and so as a volunteer, and so I really appreciate what everybody does. And I hope this comes to a solution where we get the fire department some of the funding that they need, and also balance that with taxpayer concerns. And that's not just for us personally, but I mean all taxpayers. We need to consider kind of the lowest level people and what they can afford, not everybody at the top of the food chain, so to speak. So I have a handout here for you. So our history is in business, and I know government can't run like business, but there are some things that we can do with metrics and analysis and things like that. So one of the first things that after the county commission meeting on Monday night, where the additional funding was approved, some discussions took place, and something came up about the some report in the comptroller's office. So I just decided to go on their website and find that under state law, the fire departments need to provide a financial report every year at the close of the fiscal year and by December 31st to tell what their receipts were, the cash on hand, and their disbursements. And one of the first things I noticed was not every fire department has been filing those reports. So if you look at the second page there's a table there that shows the 13 fire departments. I don't know about the 9. I'm not sure how that works. I know in previous budgets where we've allocated to all 13, the discussion came up the other night about 13 times $10,000 each, and that's how we got the $1.3 million. Also, $100,000, sorry, if I didn't say. Lost my train of thought there. But so that first page kind of shows who's been filing the reports. I have every expectation the Gallatin will file them because they filed every one. The comptroller's website only goes back 11 years. But what you'll see here is that only 15% of the fire departments have been compliant with filing that report with the comptroller's office, and a copy of that's supposed to come to whatever other government body is funding them, which would be Sumner County, so I'm presuming we're not getting it either. That report is really helpful because I think, and it came up on the floor on Monday night for anybody who was at the commission meeting, that we really don't know what the fire departments need to run. But if you look at their reports, you can look at their revenues, but also their expenditures. So I took 5 years, if any of the fire departments submitted 5 years of reports, I took that, and then I took a couple that only have 4 years of reporting, and then took the total numbers. I have all this in a spreadsheet. I'm more than happy to email it to you, but I was trying to hit the high points for you. So you can see what their 5-year totals were, and their the yearly averages were by line item that the comptroller and state law requires that they report. So I thought this would give us a really good basis, but it also raises a bunch of things. So if points of discussion, if we're not filing these reports, honestly, I think that the volunteer fire departments have an awful lot to do between their response, their training, acquiring vehicles, and all the other things, running a building, but there's reporting too. It's a lot, but it's by law that they have to do it, and it's not being done consistently. And it raises the question, are there other things that are maybe not being done the way that they should, like a board of directors. I've never heard about the board of directors for anybody other than Shackle Island. That doesn't mean that they're not there. I just don't know about it. There are best practices that could be learned from some of these. Some are great in fundraising. Some are great in getting federal grants and so forth. So I think we just need to look at some consistency there and then come up with a great way to fund to a level that can be accepted by everybody within the county and the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'll be a lot shorter.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what Laura talked about, we spent the better part of today just looking through numbers, and you know, it kind of reinforced a concern that I had that here we go again, holding a gun to the citizen's head to fund something where we haven't really put the diligence in to the business model and the business plan, because that's what this is, okay? And I would be the first person to stand here and advocate for more spending on something if I knew that it was going for a good cause and it was being done right. But based on what we mined today from the comptroller's reports, it doesn't appear to be happening. I didn't get into the 990s, but I'll be doing that tomorrow, the federal government, because all of these things impact state and federal law, and there's implications when you don't meet those things. Now, I want a world-class county at all levels, including the volunteer fire department. And as Laura said, I worked on a rescue squad for 30-something years. I know what it's like to be a volunteer and not have money and be begging. But we've got to put together a plan, including best practice. When you look at the data, some of the fire departments go out and have very good fundraising. Well, how do we take that and emulate that and help the other ones do the same thing? How about grants? There's millions of dollars of grant money that the state has allocated for the last several years. Only a couple of our volunteer fire departments have actually gone and got it. Why? How can we help that? We have a grant writer. We have people in this county that could help with that. How do we facilitate helping them so they do the core job of saving and protecting the citizens, but also watching the dollars? Because that's why I get here month after month. Because month after month I see we're being extorted. You got to have stadiums because the things fell down. Well, you knew about it months ago. Why weren't you doing something? Where's the plan? That's my point. I appreciate you all for doing this. Hopefully, we're going to see some fruit come out of this this ad-hoc. If there's anything that Laura and I can do to help, we have a wealth of knowledge in history. We're willing to help. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right. The next on the agenda is elections of chairman and vice chairman. Floor is open for nominations.
Commissioner Wynn for chairman.
Do we have a second? Second. Motion is a second. Any more nominations? Yes, sir.
I'll nominate myself.
Okay. All righty. Do we have a second? I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. All righty. Any more nominations? Okay. Y'all ready to vote? Let's, how do we do this? Probably, I tell you what, all in favor of West Wind, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
One abstention. I think that's got it, Mr. Klein.
Okay.
Took care of that. All righty, Wes, you can, it's all you now, buddy.
All right. All right, well, thank you for the vote of confidence. We'll continue on down our agenda. No old business is a new committee, so. I apologize. So, yeah, Vice Chairman. Let's open the floor up for nominations for Vice Chair.
I'll nominate Chris.
Mr. Shoemaker, do you accept the nomination?
Sure.
All right, any seconds?
Second.
All right,
Motion is
motion and a second. So, any other nominations?
I'll nominate Commissioner Klein to accept.
I will accept.
All right, Commissioner Klein, any seconds?
I'll second.
All right. Okay, Mr. Shoemaker, Mr. Klein, any other nominations? All right, so we'll close nominations. We'll do just like we did before, so we'll start with Mr. Shoemaker. So all in favor of Mr. Shoemaker, signify by saying aye. Aye. What was that? Okay, you said 3, okay, so 4. All right, all in favor of Mr. Klein? Aye. So 2. All right, Mr. Shoemaker.
Yeah.
You'll be the vice
I
chairman.
think you actually had 3 people, Mr. Klein.
Who's the third?
He still got it, though. I also voted for Commissioner Klein.
You can only vote once.
You can't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was voting for him. I did not. I did a nod or something I shouldn't have, I apologize.
Better do it again.
Let's do it again, because I think we're 3-3, I'm thinking. But anyway, all right, so Mr. Shoemaker, all in favor of Mr. Shoemaker, raise your hand. All right, you got 4, and then all in favor for Mr. Klein.
I better vote for myself.
Yeah, 3. Okay, all right, so 4-3, Mr. Shoemaker, is the vice chair. All right, so we'll get past that, old business, no old business, so new business, introduction of the members and expectations for the committee. So let's start with, we'll start with the expectation of the committee. So, Mr. Harris, you're on HIMSS committee, right?
Excuse me?
You're on the HIMSS committee?
Yes.
Can you just, what was the expectation for this?
Well, as Mr. Joe McClellan stated in his statements earlier, the previous ad hoc committee had come to some conclusions that I thought, and we thought, would work. They came through the ad hoc committee. I think it was unanimous. It went to Health and Emergency Services. I think it came out of there. There may have been a couple of votes that voted against that. And it was forwarded on to the next committee, and then we never heard anything else about it.
Okay.
Sure.
It went from Ad-Hoc, HMS, both of them were unanimous approval, I believe. And then it went to legislative because of the fact that there was a contract included with that. At legislative, they ended up turning down the contract, and then that's when Commissioner Mansfield changed it, the ask to $90,000 per station as opposed to what the ad hoc committee had requested. Then the budget did not ever take it up until budget time. So there was about a 3-4 month period where it stood in limbo between legislative and budget, and then by the time budget even listened to it, it was already through budget time, and there was nowhere for it to go. So it just kind of died off.
Okay. All right, so for the expectation of this committee, I'm going to take a swing at this one. So we're here to find out and to figure out and to scope out a long-term funding options. There's a lot of different things we need to evaluate before we jump to the end goal. So there are several things that we need to just start to study and understand and gather more information on. Got a few notes here, and I'll pass these along, but there's going to be several things that we'll need to understand. One thing being, what are the needs? What are our cost structures? There's just some things we have to understand, because we need to understand how big of a hole we've got to fill with funding. So that would be the main thing that you know, we're gonna have to uncover and get to. So, I would love to get this done in a couple of meetings, but I don't think it's gonna do the volunteer fire department's justice, by doing that. So, we need to do our due diligence and take as much time as we need. So, I think it's, be flipping some stones and asking some questions. So, anyhow, any questions on expectations?
I'm going to jump in. I think part of that big picture item is we've got to know, where's the fire service goal? Are we staying 9 volunteer departments? Are we looking at a county fire service? Are we looking at a contracted basis? Before we can figure out how big of a hole we're going to have to dig, we've got to know what ladder we're going down.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot of chutes we got to uncover and explore prior to. Yes, sir, Mr. Klein.
I think even before we do that, we need to know where we're at right now. We don't.
You got to get a baseline.
We have no idea what the money that they've received over the years has been spent on. We don't know what their needs are. We don't know what their expectations are. I think we need to, and we do have state regulations that need to be abided by, and so I think maybe even before, I mean, the long-term goal obviously is what we want, yes, and we need to figure out what direction we're going to go. But in my brain, until I know where we're at today, I can't even tell where we're going to go.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay.
Like there's an NFPA guideline called 1720, and what it goes through is, depends on what the density of the area is, depends on how many firefighters and what kind of equipment you need in that particular area. So I think things like that NFPA code is going to be a big thing for us. Also, all the fire departments do have to and have been turning in their yearly budgets to the budget committee every year. Every nonprofit has to turn in their budgets. You can file a Freedom of Information Act to get those budgets. I actually have the last 3 or 4 years. And the Tennessee comptroller that someone was alluding to earlier in the public comment, just so you know, that's an either or. You can turn it into the Tennessee comptroller's office and put it on that website, and then the county can use it directly from that website. In lieu of that, they can turn in their budgets to the county that they're receiving funds from. That's how most of the fire departments have been doing for the last quite a while, just turning their budgets directly into the county.
Okay. So that NFPA guideline, Mr. Williams, is that something that's readily available online, or is that?
All the fire chiefs have access to it.
Okay.
I was able to get a summary off the website.
Okay.
I know the chiefs on the committee will be able to.
Okay, hang on 1 second. So, if we can, can we get that to everybody in the committee?
Yes, should be.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
All right, so Mr. Harris.
I have access to it.
Okay, so Mr. Harris, if you'll take that as an action item, just to get that.
The CTAS report, of course, that we were alluding to, that does also have, now this information is out of date. The CTAS report was started back in 2018. It wasn't finalized until March of 21. So a lot of their information is from 2018, 2019, but it does have in there how many call volumes each department has, what the 5-mile radius from each department is. It will clear out a lot of that analytical stuff. Of course, I think some of it needs to be updated, especially like trucks. I'm sure some of the departments have replaced some of those trucks already. But it goes through there pretty well and says at each station what equipment is there, what years they are. A lot of the information we're kind of wanting is in that report.
Gotcha. Now, Mr. Williams, you emailed that to the entire committee already?
I did this morning.
Okay, all right. So did everybody receive that report, the CTAS report?
I haven't been on the email this morning, since this morning.
Okay.
I do want to just clarify for those that aren't in the world of fire service, and Chief Thornton can probably attest to this, that 1720 document is not an easy thing to read. If you want to go to sleep at night, it's a phenomenal thing to read. So we will need to dummy it down to make it make sense, because it goes every possible direction that you can for different types of departments.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's got some good teaching.
Okay. Awesome. Yes, sir, Mr. Klein.
If we could also get Chief McLaughlin's rundown that he read I found very informative.
Okay.
If we could get a copy of that, I think that would give us a good history. And number two, if you've got the budgets of the past 3 or 4 years, I would love to have those.
Okay.
So, Mr. Williams, do you have them from all the volunteer fire departments?
Everything that's been pretty much the way I've operated for the last several years is after the departments turn in their budgets, then I'll file a Freedom of Information Act. That way I have them where I can run to see what changes from year to year.
Okay. All right. Can you email those out as well to the entire committee?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That'll take a few days to compile.
That's okay. We're probably going to not meet the next few days, yeah, so. Okay, all right. All right, so is everybody clear on expectations for the committee?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so let's move on past that. There's nothing to vote on there, so we'll move on to the next. Purpose and scope of the Volunteer Fire Department Ad-Hoc Committee. I think we talked a lot about the expectations, what that scope is, and the purpose of. So that's a little duplicative in my opinion, but if anybody else has anything to add, then feel free to chime in.
I'm new to this process at the county commission meeting, level, ad hoc stuff. I have 30 years of firefighting experience, and I have, in that 30 years, a lot of experience working on various committees. I hesitate, or I want the committee to hesitate to think of this simply as a financial exercise. If that becomes our primary goal, then effectively what we've done is we've put the cart before the horse. There is a lot of digging that needs to be done, but it doesn't have to be as complicated as NFPA manuals make things out to be. I studied for a lot of tests in my career. The municipal fire guide, the big green book, it's hit me in the face a number of times trying to read it. The goal of this committee should be, in my opinion, to develop a plan that would most adequately and effectively serve the folks who live in the rural and unincorporated areas of the county. Whatever that's going to be, whatever standards we decide to pursue. I think most people would agree, in the little experience that I've had with a few volunteer fire departments right now, is that they face a number of challenges, not the least of which is financial. They have the challenges of finding staffing and being able to get people to respond appropriately and adequately during all times of day. And I don't think that would be, I don't think that that's a challenge that's particular to any particular volunteer fire department. They're all going to face that. You could spend money to try to fix that, but until we decide or figure out what the core mission is and how best to apply that and to serve the citizens of this county, for us to just look at it as a financial exercise is, in my estimation, just a backwards exercise. And so I think that I personally would like to learn more about the operational needs and aspects of each of the volunteer fire departments. I know that some of them are better off financially than others, and I think that's a legitimate question to ask. Well, why? Why is this one able to raise money when this one's not able to raise money? But again, money is just one of the symptoms here. And there's a lot of things that need to be addressed in order for these volunteer firefighters to be effective. The last 10 years of my career, I was a battalion chief. And in that position in management, my personal philosophy was that my job was to make sure that the folks under my command had what they needed to be successful. And I think that should be a guiding principle of this committee. Our job is to decide what they need to be successful in their application of their skills and their duty to the constituents.
Anybody else? No? Okay. All right, and this is your degree, right?
Henry.
Henry, okay.
We kind of skipped the introduction part.
Yeah, we did, we skipped introduction.
I think we all know each other.
Yeah, so,
I'm David Klein.
okay,
Nice to meet you.
do we need to go back around and do, let's do,
Maybe we do.
okay, let's do that. I didn't skip that over that, so, Wes Wynn, I'm a county commissioner representing White House, Tennessee, District 15.
Henry DeGroot, I live in Gallatin. I moved here about 11 years ago. I spent 31 years in the fire service in California, and I've got about 6 to 7 years of experience at city, state, and federal emergency management levels.
Hello, Curtis Williams, if y'all don't know me. I'm in the White House Community Volunteer Fire Department's fire district. I'm in between the cities of White House and Millersville. I've been working with the fire chiefs and the county commissioners for about the last 12 years trying to get all this funding stuff figured out. And so I'm very glad we're at this point where hopefully something can get done. Regardless of the funding structure, we just need some long-term. We can't keep doing this every year and fighting for funding. There's got to be some long-term strategy so that we don't have to continue this every year.
Sam Thornton, I'm the chief at the Portland Fire Department, City of Portland Fire Department. I've been the chief for 5 years. This makes 27 and a half years I've been with the City of Portland Fire Department. 2.5 years before that, I was a member of what is now known as Highland Volunteer Fire Department. Back then it was known as District 1. And then while my career is with the City Department, I live in the New Deal area, and I've been here all my life.
I'm David Klein. I'm County Commissioner, District 6, and I really wanted to be on this ad hoc for all of the reasons that Curtis was saying. We need to fix this problem permanently and get past the kicking the can down the road, as we hear so often.
Christian Maker, I live on the other side of Highlands District from Chief Gordon, out towards Oak Grove. Been out there for a few years now. I've been here for 10. I spent 9 years with Portland Fire before I left there. But I've been in the fire service in some aspect for about 20 years now. So.
Ben Harris, County Commissioner, fire service, probably 30, 35 years maybe. A long time. But Mr. Klein hit on something just a minute ago, kicking the can down the road. This can has been kicked down the road since 1990. All seriously, it has. I can remember one of the first things that we dealt with on, back then it was called the Emergency Services Committee, Mr. Klein, and one of the first things that we started discussing is funding for the volunteer fire department. And this has been going on for that long. And we've never had the support that I think you've got now in the county commission. Back then, we didn't have the support. I think the support's there now, the interest is there now, and maybe we can get something going that's going to help these guys.
Good. I hope so.
All right, so one last thing that I'll throw out for the purpose and scope, and I'll ask you, Commissioner Harris, was there a timeline or anything? Was there a needed report back to the Ends Committee by some
I think
point?
Mr. Rogers would like for us to come back and give him a monthly report about the status of the.
Just the progress. It wasn't like, hey, we need something by June of 26 or just as long.
Like an end product, sir, an end product of some kind of.
Yeah, like what is
You're
the,
talking about the end goal?
yeah, deliverable date?
He ever pinpointed the end goal, but
No, he didn't.
I think we need to, I don't think we need to actually expedite it, but we need to thoroughly.
We don't need to drag our feet in it, so yeah.
We don't need to drag our feet.
I do know the discussion was it an ad hoc committee or not because of the time period of the terminology of 6 months or 12 months based off of that. So it was known that it was not going to be an overnight or 3-month ordeal. So.
But he did want a monthly report.
Okay.
Might I say, Mr. Chairman, it would be ideal if we could get a long way towards it before budget starts.
Yeah.
And that's in May, usually.
we'll do, we'll set as a goal to have some progress done and something, say something tangible, by May. We'll see if we're able to do that. So that's a good goal, so. Okay. All right. All right, so, we'll move on to the next item, procedure and order rules for the committee. Honestly, I think we'll just follow what we typically do. Is there any questions on how the meeting should roll? And, we're going to follow Robert's rules to the best of our ability. We're not all perfect here, so, I'm sure we'll make some procedural errors, but we'll, but I used to tell the folks I referee football, I'll treat you right, don't worry. Yeah. If I miss you on one, I'll get you on another, so.
Yeah, I think Roberts is a great way to go with.
Okay, all right, so, we'll follow that for procedures and rule of order. All right, so next item here is the scheduling of the regular meetings. Wednesdays, I know each day on a Wednesday, a lot of folks attend church on Wednesday, so I want to be very mindful and respectful of that. So we'll open it up for any kind of recommendation. Yes, sir.
Recommend the, third Thursday of December for the next one. That'd be the 18th.
Okay. So where it gets interesting, where it gets checks the calendars. Okay. Let's do.
That's the 18th.
So right now, the motion would be, Mr. Harris, you making a motion to make it the third Thursday of every month. So we'll start, our next one will be on the 18th of December, if everybody's amenable to that.
I'm clear.
I'm sorry, I hate to throw a domestic wrench into this, but I do have some domestic duties I have to attend to on Thursdays. I babysit my grandkids.
Okay. Hey.
That's a biggie.
Does anybody have any problem with Tuesdays? We don't have any committee meetings going on Tuesday.
I think that.
I have planning commissions on the third Tuesday.
Okay. Long record sent out originally, the fourth Monday was open for everything as far as committees. The only reason why we did this day was because the fourth falls next week of Thanksgiving, and in December it was going to fall the week of Christmas.
Okay.
So, I said we can make a motion, find the date in December, and then go to the fourth Monday, because we know that works for committees and everything.
That's the 22nd.
The only thing I might say to the fellow commissioners, that's our only week off.
Yeah. And I will say, I believe a lot of fire chiefs have their trainings on Mondays, on their fourth Mondays. Am I able to, never mind, not anymore.
Can I change that?
Absolutely. You did get a second, so.
How about the third Tuesday of each month?
That's the planning
That's
commission.
the planning
But
commission.
the second Tuesday.
How about the second Tuesday of each month? Because I'm pretty wide open.
I'm good for that, Ben.
Second Tuesday. Second Tuesday
Yes.
of every month.
I'll second that.
Second, all right.
I'll second the second Tuesday.
My grandkids say that's okay. Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
all right, so second Tuesday. Do we get a second? We got a second. And so.
5:30.
Does 5:30 work for everybody?
5:30 works.
5 o'clock better, Mr. Klein.
No, well, I can make it, I just got caught up in traffic today, so 5 o'clock's better for everybody, I'm fine with that.
I would be okay
I'm good
with
with 5 o'clock.
5:30, I think works better for
Okay.
Dinner.
Yeah.
5:30.
Those of us who work for them, Mr. Harris. 5 o'clock, being jobs all the time.
I appreciate that.
All right, so the motion on the floor would be second Tuesday of the month at 5:30, and there is a second. So any other discussion we need on this? No? All right, we're ready to vote?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we got our date set, second Tuesday at 5:30. So next meeting will be on the 9th of December. All right, so our last item is funding ideas for the volunteer fire department. We can open this up for discussion, but I do, we can kick it around, I guess, initial ideas. I do like and respect Mr. DeGroote's comments that, you know, before we just make this a financial exercise, we've got some homework to do, you know. So I think there's some validity in looking at that and understand that, but I think the last thing we all want to do here is put the cart before the horse, and, you know, we all anchor on one funding idea, and then that kind of directs everything else. So I would almost push this to the next.
Can I make a motion to table item E until the January meeting?
Second.
Motion's on the table, second by Mr. Klein. Any discussion on that, to table that till January's meeting?
Does that stop us from addressing any other small issues?
Such as?
Like the ETC reporting, as far as making a motion to have the ETC try to get us their call volumes.
No, we're talking about funding ideas, so this would be to start discussing the funding piece, so, that would give us, you know, yeah, we'll table that. The motion on the floor is to table that until January. So, any further discussion on that?
Once we table that, is that end of discussion, we'll put the last agenda item?
Well, I mean, you can continue to discuss until we vote on it, and then,
The only thing I'd like to go ahead and get started at this committee meeting is kind of what they were saying, at least some of the analytics stuff that we can at least request from. I think there's certain things, like, I know the fire tax has been talked about a lot. In conversations with Mr. Isabel and Mr. Hurt, neither one at this moment has the ability to figure out what a penny in the tax rate is in the different fire zones. So things like that might take them a while to get that information. So it might be a good idea to go ahead and request that of them, so that at some point, maybe by January or February, we have that. Kind of the same thing with the EDCC. Maybe we can at least ask them what type of calls from what departments, and there's certain data that they can give us. That way we kind of know which departments are running the most amount of calls, which ones are going into others' territories more often than others. Just kind of the analytical point, so we can kind of see who's needing more support, how many calls the different stations are running.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with Curtis there. I think this next few weeks, we need to really dig into a few different things. I would ask the Baggarts to send all of us the information that they have been mining up today and tomorrow, and whatever else they come up with. I think that'll help us understand. The other thing I would like to get from all the chiefs, if I can, is more specific needs, you know, whether it's financial, whether it's vehicles, whether it's, I think if we start out where we understand their needs, we pretty much know the needs of the community. They just need protection when it comes to car accidents, fires, and those kinds of emergency services. When I was the chairman of the general operations, I came up with a list of the volunteer. Some of them were volunteer, not all of them. I think if maybe Curtis or Mr. Thornton or Chief Thornton, if we could have an actual list of all the, we're talking about 9 different fire departments, right?
There's 9 departments.
And 13
stations. Between the 9 of them, there's 13 different stations.
Okay.
Now, with that, you have the city of Westmoreland that covers area outside of their city limits. So they actually get funding for the county area they have, even though they're actually a city department.
So they're not they're not volunteer at all?
They're not.
They're a combination now.
Okay, combination.
Okay, those are the kinds of specifics, I think.
They have one full-time person, 40 hours a week, and then one part-time person who stays with him. So during the day, they have 2 people on staff. Now, the city pays that bill, but those people still respond outside the city limits into the county areas with no additional aspects.
Okay, that really changes the picture of Westmoreland in my mind. And so if we can have as many details like that, so that when we do start discussing, we're all on the same page as to the needs of the chiefs, how their particular precincts or fire department works, because it seems like it's very ad hoc with the way the different volunteer fire departments. So if we can mine as much information as we can, I think that's where I need to start, because I need to wrap my brain around everything we're trying to do.
It seems like, I'm just thinking through my lens here. There's 8 of us, there's 9 fire chiefs. That's a lot of different contact points, a lot of different information. So, is there anybody who wants to be the liaison, if you will, for this committee, and a volunteer? Is that?
I will say that the chiefs, before this committee was ever put together, had already selected a representative for the fire department.
Okay.
I believe the intention from discussing some with HEMS was that they are going to try to add the fire chief that they selected to our committee, which would be Chief Edgerton, number 1.
Okay.
So I believe that will be our point of contact as far as being able to get the information from all the fire chiefs.
Okay, yeah, we'll connect afterwards, because I think that the CTAS report, it's got a lot of good information, a lot of homework's been done. That's one thing that I'll ask this committee to do as a takeaway and as homework to be prepared for our next meeting. Review the report. It's 101 pages. It's a lot of math, a lot of good information in there. So familiarize yourself with that. We'll get together and see where we need to update. And, because there's going to be staffing numbers, I think equipment changes, things like that, this is from 21. So if we can get those things updated, we'll get it out to committee, and then everybody can have the same baseline of information to kind of start thinking through and looking through.
So one of the things that I found, I'm very old school, so I went ahead and I printed the CTAS report for myself, so I could go through it at my leisure. One of the things that I found most enlightening were some of the maps and charts that were in there. I'm a very visual kind of guy, so I learned a lot looking at it. I had no idea where Highland District is in relationship to the other municipal departments, or even where in the county it is. Overlay that with what did they call the responsive one? Not the 1 minute. 5 minute? 5 mile.
5 mile radius.
5 mile radius. Is it a state standard?
No, it's ISO ratings. The way it's calculated are a 5 mile, and it shows on there, at the time of the report, we actually had about 88% of the county within 5 miles of a fire station, which is pretty good coverage, especially considering the support the Sumner's given them over the last 20 years, 35 years.
I found that kind of graphics enlightening to me, to figure out where the departments were, the 9 different departments, how many stations they had, what was their coverage area for this 5 mile radius, and then in that it then shows you obvious gaps in their coverage. It doesn't take into account things like travel time. I didn't see much in there for calculation of turnout times or response times, things like that. That I think would be most informative, particularly from a performance perspective, to tell you whether fire stations within these volunteer departments were appropriately or correctly located in order to be able to provide the best coverage for the people to protect.
Gotcha. Okay.
And while we're on the idea of asking people to look into things, is it within our purview to ask the county attorney, as far as what was said in public comment, as far as like this CTAS, is that required of the BFDs, or, as was said, it's an either-or thing, and get an opinion on that? I don't know.
I believe code. I'm on there's state code on it.
The TCA code, I think. Yeah, so we could read that, but I'll ask that question, Mr. Shoemaker. Yeah.
I have this document. Is that kind of the Bible? Or
Sort of, kind of.
That's an important one.
Things that deal with the fire service.
The Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury, Volunteer Fire Department Financial Reporting and Procedures Manual. Okay. So that's probably something that we need to, I guess you can download it and print it off. I would imagine. So if take notes on that one, because I found that really informative. I haven't completely read it
What is that?
in detail.
map, just so that it was easier for the commissioners to be able to see exactly how large some of these territories are compared to others, and where they're all laid out. They can just print out a map of the GIS website from Sumner County that shows the fire department layers. That might be a good map just to be able to, everyone to be able to see maybe next week.
Yeah, one of us could probably get, John Hurt to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wes, can you do that? Could you get John Hurt to make us
Get the maps.
maps of the fire department coverage areas? They're on the Sumner GIS, but he can print them off in big things that we can look at.
it's pretty hard to look.
The bigger the better.
Yeah, he can do 36 by 48, so that's
About 12 years ago, I figured out what the 5 miles from each station was, and then Mr. Hurt was able to, about 6 months after that, do it all on a piece of paper in about 5 minutes and printed it out. And I was kind of upset with myself, but I was very thankful he was able to do that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. All right, so it sounds like we've got several things for follow-up and for homework as well. So, see, I've got the maps, and I'll give Mr. Hurt, financial reporting,
I'll get this out to everybody.
absolutely, okay, so you'll get that and download it and send it out? Okay.
Right.
All right,
Right.
so.
The only other thing I could think of that I've got that I haven't supplied yet is we have all the ISO ratings as far as countywide. We know what the cities and the county volunteer fire departments each individually are now, 5 years ago. And then we also have, we had sent a mailer or an email to all the different counties in the state asking them how they fund their fire departments, whether it's fire tax, donation, and their different ways. And we've got that accumulated as well. We've probably got about 60 of the 95 reported. So if we're comparing apples to apples to see what other counties our size are doing, that would be good information.
Okay, yep, can you provide that? Okay. All right, so Mr. Williams got that, along with the budgets, provide the budgets?
Yes, in the budget.
Yeah, Mr. Harris is gonna do the NFPA guidelines, 1720. If any other fire chiefs, so you guys wanna give like some summation or some dumb down, hey, here's what's important, this is what this means, I'm sure that'd be more than welcome.
Can I make a motion to suspend the rules for just a few moments?
Second.
To talk to Chief Edgerton? Sure. So, I understand you'll be up here probably next week.
see.
You got to vote on, so, or you can have my spot, whatever.
Wait, it ain't that easy.
Yeah, get out of it, Daddy.
Mine,
All right, so, next week's Thanksgiving, I get it, so I don't know if it's gonna be realistic by the December 9th meeting. But is there any way each department could get us a list of assets and liabilities, so we kinda know where they are financially, not just that financial stuff, apparatus, stations, extrication equipment, SCBA, in date and out of date gear.
Okay.
And to dumb it down a little bit,
Stuff they wear, the stuff they garage, yeah.
has a 10-year shelf life.
Gotcha.
And at the end of 10 years, you've got to replace it. So that's, and it's specifically the PPE, the gear.
You want turnouts too?
Turnout gear would be great.
Is that still at a 10-year shelf life, or is that
Yeah.
still 10?
Gear still 10.
So today I sent the request out, so I'll slowly be getting back the responses about apparatus. And then, what else did I ask for, Curtis?
Correct.
Grants, what they've applied for and been successful on. Number of schools in their district.
Well, also gives what they've applied for and not been
And not
successful.
gotten, yeah. Number of churches, schools, and other commercial buildings of note, because sometimes a commercial building is not significant, but I know Highland has a lot of commercial. So I've already started gathering that data, and then I'll just add this in from there.
Okay. And membership, total and active.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I think in the CTAS report also too, it's that availability throughout the day. There's some of that information, so.
May be helpful to know if, I know that this county owns some of the buildings, like the new Bell building at Oak Grove, but don't you guys own your own buildings? The ones in Portland?
City of Portland. Yes.
City of Portland's own, yeah, so that, that all affects their cost structure and who's paying for the utilities and all that stuff.
I will say that is in the CTAS report.
Is it?
It's only 5 stations out of the 14 total fire stations that are county owned. The other 9 are department owned. 4, I think 1 is the Corps of Engineers. Is that number 1?
Yeah, we lease it from the Corps of Engineers. Chief, I'm not sure what all reporting software everybody's using, but if it could produce the percentage of time y'all are meeting 1720 guidelines.
Would that be department generated, or is that from?
That'd be department. That'd be department generated.
And then if they can, I don't know if it's them or ACC that would supply that, just the number of calls and then the number of calls that haven't been responded to.
We've already asked for that. Not sure where Ken's at on that, but we've asked for it.
Where are you going with
Ken Smithers.
Is everybody at this table on the county email system?
No.
I didn't get Mr. DeGroote's email. I need to read it.
Yeah, I'll get the emails and contact information, and we'll send it out so everybody's got it.
Great.
No.
I didn't think. I'll send it to Mr.
And I apologize because I understand what it's like to be fighting all this stuff.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
sorry.
fine. I'll do my best to compile everything. I mean,
And
it's definitely part of the puzzle, so.
it's part of the puzzle, and the reason I tabled till January so that we can see what we get back by December 9th. We can start disseminating. There'll be more that we're going to ask for. And, I mean, let's just be realistic also. Not a whole lot gets done anywhere in the United States between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right.
Well, we could be trailblazers here.
We could. We won't. We could.
Depends on your line of work, that's all. Yeah. All right.
I didn't hear a second on that.
As far as sunshine stuff, is this stuff, as we are accumulating this information, we can just email it out on that reply all thread, and then maybe we'll have some of this before the actual next meeting, that way we can kind of go over it before.
Yeah, so reply all, you can send to me, and I'll disseminate. We can do it multiple ways, so, but, we'll make sure that whatever's sent out, we'll provide it for the next meeting, so we'll put it into the minutes. That way everybody has everything.
It'll be a very long agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, so we should send it directly to you, Wes, and then you will, okay.
Yeah, that way it's not like all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a group text, man. It's the spawn of the devil, but, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
This is the only email thread that I have received, with the original one that Phil Rogers sent out about the Ad-Hoc.
Everybody was getting that, they should have all the emails on that one.
We'll make sure that everybody's got it, and, we'll provide everything. So I'll do with you guys at cell numbers and all that kind of stuff. Okay,
We have to pull by ourselves back in the session.
yeah, Mr. Harris, we're gonna come back into session.
I'm sorry.
We'll come back into session. All right, so we do have a motion on the table to table the funding ideas till January meeting. Did receive a second, so are we done discussing this matter?
I think
Okay, we believe so? Okay, all right. So with that, we'll go ahead and ready to vote? Yep, all right, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I apologize, what was the actual vote for?
Table.
Table.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
It's been so long since we had talked about it.
Okay.
I
All right.
even know where I'm at. Yep.
All right, so one last item on here is adjournment. Before we do that, though, does everybody understand what, the action items for next meeting? So everybody's got this is what you're responsible for, this is what you need to come back with, and this is what you need to do to be prepared, right?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So with that, any motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you, guys.
was one.